Sea is about 8 times saltier than the ocean.
That's where the Dead Sea is now.
Basically, you see the layers to the Dead Sea is salt diamonds.
In the heart of the Middle East, nestled between the ancient lands of Israel and Jordan, lies a body of water so enigmatic, so laden with history and mystery, that it has earned a name that resonates through the ages: the Dead Sea. However, the Dead Sea's water level is dropping at an alarming rate, creating vast sinkholes that threaten to devour everything in their path. But why is this ancient body of water, once a sanctuary of solace and healing, now a symbol of environmental distress? Join us on a journey through time and science as we uncover the startling truths and historical wonders of the Dead Sea and explore the myriad reasons behind its agonizing desiccation. The Dead Sea, Earth's lowest and saltiest wonder. Situated along the border of Jordan and Israel, the Dead Sea is a unique body of water in Southwest Asia. It stands out for its extreme salinity, being nearly 10 times saltier than regular seawater. Often referred to as the Salt Sea, it is located at an elevation of 430.5 meters below sea level, making it the lowest land-based feature on Earth. The primary water source of the Dead Sea is the River Jordan, which flows into it, but this peculiar sea lacks any outlet. Consequently, the only way it loses water is through evaporation. Due to its exceptionally high salt content and harsh climate, the sea is essentially devoid of most life forms except for algae and various microorganisms. Interestingly, some unusual occurrences have been observed in the vicinity of the sea. The sea holds significant historical and religious importance, having been mentioned multiple times in biblical texts. In the Hebrew language, it is referred to as Yam HaMala, meaning the Salt Sea, and in some Hebrew writings it is known as Yam HaMaveh, signifying the Sea of Death, due to its unique composition and inability to support macroscopic organisms like plants and fish. These characteristics have earned it the widely recognized name, the Dead Sea, a unique natural wonder in peril. The Dead Sea is gradually shrinking due to the intense Middle Eastern sunlight. Replenishing the water in the sea is a significant challenge, but it's a slow-moving problem for the people living nearby. The sea is renowned for its unique feature. You can't sink in it because its saltiness is 8 to 9 times higher than that of the average sea. The water is so thick and rich in minerals that it resembles a mixture of olive oil and sand, more than typical water. For many years, people have used the exceptional qualities of this water as a tourist attraction. No trip to the Holy Land or Jordan was considered complete without taking a photograph of someone floating effortlessly on the sea's surface, often reading a newspaper. Nevertheless, the sea has a distinctive ecosystem and serves as an indicator of environmental changes. You may have heard reports about the Dead Sea disappearing in a region where the arid environment and the need for irrigation create a constant water shortage. While it's easy to understand why this idea captures headlines, it's not entirely accurate. As the water level drops, the saltiness of the sea increases, and the rate of evaporation eventually reaches a state of equilibrium. This means that even though the sea may diminish significantly, it won't completely vanish. However, the surface is shrinking rapidly, with over a meter lost each year. The sea, being the lowest place on Earth, sits 430.5 meters below sea level. The record for the lowest point changes every year because the sea's level changes. When you drive down the road to the sea, it's so deep that your ears might feel a bit strange, like they do when a plane lands. The views of the Dead Sea are amazing. It looks almost like the moon's surface. Imagine if you put Lake Como deep into the Grand Canyon. That's how unique and special this place is. Even people from ancient times recognized there was something special about it, even if they didn't quite understand what it was. There's a story that Cleopatra, the famous Egyptian queen, used local things like donkey milk and almond extract in her beauty routine, and she might have gotten some of these products from the sea area. These kinds of stories are common in the Middle East. It's also likely that King Herod, a historical figure, visited this place for his health because he had a palace nearby. However, his reputation in history isn't very good, so we don't talk about him as much these days. The economic and therapeutic significance of the Dead Sea. The sea used to be a significant source of salt, which was extremely valuable in the past. It was so valuable that people even used it as money. When the Romans ruled the Middle East, they maintained strong military control over the roads around the Dead Sea because of its economic importance. Additionally, the sea seems to offer real health benefits due to its unique geographical features. It is located far below sea level, which creates an extreme barometric pressure. This special atmospheric condition may be beneficial for individuals with asthma, as it may improve air quality. Additionally, the combination of the sea's mineral-rich water, soothing mud, and intense sunlight appears to be helpful for people suffering from the severe skin condition known as psoriasis. Thanks to funding from health agencies and non-governmental organizations in various countries, people with psoriasis can travel to the sea for therapeutic purposes. As a result, the Dead Sea still holds economic value, even though it is gradually shrinking and changing. Both Jordan and Israel have resorts that cater to tourists, and they also export cosmetics made from local resources. It is expected that future economic benefits from the unique characteristics of the sea will benefit Palestinians, especially because a section of its shoreline is in the West Bank, which is under Israeli control. Declining water levels pose challenges for British engineers and Dead Sea tourism. It is undeniable that the water level has significantly decreased. British engineers inscribed their initials on a rock during World War I to measure the water level. Even after a century, the markings on a dry, hard rock remain visible. To access the current water level, one must descend the rocks, traverse a busy road, navigate through dense, marshy vegetation, and cross a sizable mud flat. The journey spans approximately 2 kilometers. This reduction in water level has resulted in a pressing issue. Waves now lap against the walls of the tourist destination, Eingay, located a few kilometers up the coast. Initially, when the main structure was completed, it included amenities such as a restaurant, shower facility, and a gift shop. Consequently, the resort had to acquire a unique train that transports guests to the water's edge using a tractor, requiring an additional 2-kilometer trip. Wenger, the person responsible for managing Iron Giddy's tourism activities, finds the pace of these changes disconcerting. He emphasizes that we are not discussing events from 500 or 1,000 years ago, stating, "The sea used to be precisely where it is now when I was 18 years old." This shifting coastline has resulted in significant annual expenditures, amounting to $500,000, to maintain access to the sea using a tractor, petrol, and workers. Having grown up near the Dead Sea and spending his entire life there, Wenger admits to feeling a sense of melancholy. He observes the landscape he cherished during his upbringing deteriorating and fading. This transformation leads him to acknowledge that the environment his children and grandchildren inherit will not resemble the one he knew. When asked if he preferred a view of the sea while building a new house, Wenger opted for a view of the mountains, signifying his acceptance of the changing landscape. The Dead Sea and the changing Jordan River. In the face of its harsh weather conditions and the towering sandy-hued mountains that surround it, coupled with its distinct chemical properties, the lifeless Dead Sea's appeal becomes evident. Beyond the peculiar presence of a multi-story concrete hotel, this terrain remains strikingly reminiscent of the times of Herod and Cleopatra. However, to a geologist, it is nothing more than the final stretch of the Jordan River. This body of water represents its ultimate destination, for although the river flows into it at one end, it fails to find an exit at the other. Instead, it languishes and gradually evaporates. While it may seem exaggerated to claim that the river sustaining the Dead Sea is in decline, such a description holds a measure of truth. During the brief rainy season, sudden and powerful flash floods can surge through rocky inlets known as wadis. Nevertheless, for the majority of the year, these wadis remain dry, and the river itself rarely flows. In certain regions of Israel and the occupied West Bank, during the dry season, one could virtually traverse the riverbed. It's worth noting that the Jordan River was the site of Christ's baptism and was historically one of the prominent waterways in the ancient world. Even in modern times, it exhibited a propensity for winter flooding when rainfall was abundant. A U.S. Navy officer's pioneering exploration of the Dead Sea region. In 1861, Lieutenant William Francis Lynch, a dedicated officer of the U.S. Navy, embarked on an ambitious expedition to the Dead Sea. This expedition was a notable milestone, surpassing the efforts of Costigan in 1848. Lynch led a well-equipped team with 2 boats, setting sail on the enigmatic waters of the sea. Lynch's expedition achieved remarkable success. His relentless exploration efforts led to the creation of the very first officially published maps of the Dead Sea and the Jordan River. The Jordan River serves as a natural border, winding its way through Jordan, the Palestinian West Bank, Israel, and southwestern Syria. Over 2 decades later, another fearless adventurer emerged on the scene. This courageous Scotsman charted a course through the newly opened Suez Canal and navigated the Nile with his canoe. Before he arrived at the Dead Sea, he adventured across the Sea of Galilee. This intrepid traveler bestowed the name Rob Roy upon his canoe, a vessel now on display at Tel Aviv's Eretz Israel Museum. The Dead Sea region has not only been a hub of geographical discoveries, but also of historical ones. In 1868, the Moabite stone, an ancient relic from King Mesha's kingdom, was uncovered in this area. Frederick Augustus Klein, an Anglican missionary, stumbled upon it on the plateau east of the sea. Regrettably, disputes over ownership among local villagers led to its unfortunate destruction. The 20th century continued to witness significant findings in this region. Among them, one of the most momentous discoveries in biblical history unfolded during the late 1940s and early 1950s. The Dead Sea Scrolls. These invaluable religious documents, spanning from 150 BC to 70 AD, were unearthed in the Qumran Caves, approximately 1.6 kilometers from the northwestern shores of the sea. Initially stumbled upon by 3 Bedouin shepherds in 1946-47, further excavation efforts conducted by a team from the American School of Oriental Research revealed additional scrolls. Such intriguing discoveries underscore the remarkable nature of the sea region. Recent changes in water flow in the Jordan River system. In recent times, there have been noteworthy alterations in the landscape of the world. It's worth noting that the physical characteristics of the area remain unchanged. Specifically, the southern Jordan River flows from the Sea of Galilee to the south, eventually emptying into the Dead Sea. Conversely, the northern Jordan River feeds into the Sea of Galilee. However, due to the intricate water politics prevailing in the Middle East, the quantities of water entering and leaving this system have undergone substantial transformations over the last few decades. Israel holds authority over the regulation of water flow into the Jordan River through the construction of a dam at the southern end of the Sea of Galilee. This control persists despite the continual growth in the production of fresh water through desalination facilities. It is important to recognize the Sea of Galilee's significance as a critical strategic water resource. Water resource challenges in the Middle East. In the 1950s, a decade before the construction of the dam, the Israeli government initiated the extraction of water from the Jordan Valley system. This action posed difficulties for farmers in the region who rely on this water to cultivate their crops and support their families. These challenges extended beyond Israel's borders, affecting both Jordan and the Palestinian territories in the West Bank. Israel, despite possessing the necessary resources and expertise to ensure an adequate water supply for its citizens, encountered its own set of issues. The Jordan River, a vital water source, is primarily fed by the Yarmouk River, which flows through Syria. Over the past 3 decades, Syria has constructed more than 40 dams to regulate the flow of the Yarmouk River, which previously contributed to Jordan's water supply. Some in Jordan speculate that Syria constructed these dams as a form of retaliation against Jordan and Israel following the 1994 peace agreement. This agreement brought Jordan into compliance with Egypt's 1979 water-sharing accords, but left it trailing behind nations like Syria in terms of water resources management. Alternatively, some argue that Syria built these dams to secure water resources for its population. Regardless of the motivation, the outcome remains the same: reduced water availability for a once mighty river. It's worth noting that the Kingdom of Jordan has also constructed dams for its purposes. This issue of strategic competition over dam construction is not unique to the Jordan Valley, but is a recurring theme in other parts of the Middle East as well. For instance, Iraq and Syria have raised concerns about Turkey's 1990 construction of the Ataturk Dam on the Euphrates, which they believe has restricted their access to water resources. Emerging sinkholes, the Dead Sea. Finally dried up, and now this has emerged. You see, the emergence of sinkholes along the receding shores of the sea is a dire testament to the environmental crisis unfolding in this unique region. These sinkholes are not merely geological phenomena, they are harbingers of an ecosystem in distress. The primary factor behind these ominous sinkholes is the rapid decline in the water level of the sea. Over the past century, it has dropped by approximately 30 meters, leaving large expanses of the former seabed exposed. The sea, fed by the Jordan River, has been significantly depleted due to upstream diversions for agriculture and industry, contributing to its dramatic shrinkage. As the water recedes, it leaves underground salt deposits, which had previously been supported by the buoyant waters, exposed to the surface. These salt deposits then dissolve upon contact with rainwater, creating underground cavities that can no longer bear the weight of the earth above. Eventually, the surface collapses, forming sinkholes. These sinkholes pose severe risks to human infrastructure, with reports of roads, buildings, and even agricultural fields being swallowed by their gaping maws. They threaten the safety and livelihoods of communities living around it. Mysterious Redwater phenomenon in modern-day Jordan. In prominent historical accounts, the sight of water turning blood red appears unnatural and perplexing. This startling revelation unfolded in present-day Jordan, specifically within the region known biblically as Moab. The enigmatic transformation of a pool of water into a deep crimson hue occurring just inside the Jordanian border left observers in astonishment. Upon this discovery, the Ministry of Water and Irrigation of the country swiftly intervened. Ministry personnel ventured to the location of this peculiar occurrence and procured water samples to discern its cause and origin. While the Jordanian ministry diligently pursues a comprehensive study to uncover the root of this phenomenon, images of the blood-red water have already circulated widely on the internet, igniting numerous controversies. One prevailing topic that has surfaced on social media revolves around the notion of this discovery resembling a modern-day plague. Many individuals have entertained the possibility of this theory being plausible, primarily because the imagery of blood-red waters carries profound significance in the Old Testament. According to biblical accounts, it was one of the 10 plagues inflicted upon Egypt and its unyielding Pharaoh. In this narrative, God transformed the composition of the river Nile from fresh water into a blood-like substance, resulting in the demise of aquatic life forms and rendering the water unusable for the Egyptians' daily activities. Geologists recently made a perplexing discovery when they found that the eastern shores of the sea, where a blood-red pond appeared, coincidentally matched the historical location of two renowned biblical cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, which, according to legend, faced divine retribution for their misdeeds. While these theories circulated online, the Jordanian government took a scientific approach to investigate this unusual occurrence. To address this phenomenon seriously, Fardi al-Huaymal, the head of the Water and Agriculture Committee of the Al-Qara Council, informed the public that the authorities had initiated efforts to uncover the source of the red water. Although there are currently no definitive explanations, some scientific hypotheses aim to shed light on why this isolated lagoon, surrounded by the sea's brackish waters, underwent a sudden color transformation. Sina Al-Kasba, the director of agriculture in the southern Jordan Valley, offered his perspective, suggesting that such peculiar color changes are observed in ponds near seas due to the presence of specific bacteria and red algae that thrive in saline environments. These algae change color under sunlight. However, this explanation does not comprehensively clarify why the water turned red here while other nearby pools remained unaffected, particularly considering the region's predominantly sunny weather throughout the year. Various theories on the mysterious color change. While some individuals harbored doubts about this particular theory, other authorities hypothesized that the presence of iron oxide within the water might be responsible for the peculiar alteration in color. Nevertheless, this explanation appeared insufficient, as it lacked an account of how the iron oxide infiltrated the pool and why the color transformation occurred so rapidly. Another hypothesis emerged from the esteemed head of the Jordanian geologist syndicate, Sarkar al-Nusawa, suggesting that human-introduced substances could have induced the red hue. This perspective found resonance among numerous Jordanians who accused the government of concealing a potential pollution source or utilizing the pool as a receptacle for hazardous chemical waste. Consequently, this theory gained traction across social media platforms, seemingly holding merit. Regrettably, this theory did not ultimately elucidate the true cause behind this intriguing phenomenon. Environmental crisis. In Israel, a striking occurrence akin to the biblical plague of blood happened when the Alexander River, a 32-kilometer waterway stretching from the Annapolis Hills in the West Bank across the Israeli border and along the Mediterranean coastal plain through the Emek Hefer Regional Council, was marred by an unsettling transformation. This river, celebrated for its natural beauty and diverse wildlife, underwent a sudden and disturbing metamorphosis as its waters took on a blood-red hue, leading to a situation that nearly escalated into a national crisis. The alarming transformation of the Alexander River garnered extensive attention in Israeli media, with newspapers, magazines, and news broadcasts featuring vivid images of its crimson waters. This dramatic change in the river's appearance prompted widespread discussions and concern. It posed a perplexing question: what could have caused such a startling phenomenon? Upon investigation, it was revealed that the Alexander River's weird transformation was the consequence of blood and animal remains from slaughterhouses in various parts of Palestine, particularly in the northern West Bank city. This unfortunate incident was not an isolated occurrence. Previous instances had gone unnoticed. Typically, animal waste and blood are efficiently treated by purification plants. However, heavy rainfall had overwhelmed the system, preventing proper disposal and leading to contamination of Nahal Alexander, the river's Hebrew name. Unfortunately, this incident coincided with increased demand for chicken during the Passover celebrations and the pre-Ramadan period. The shocking sight of the river's polluted waters prompted officials to voice their concerns, almost elevating it to an environmental catastrophe. It was more than just a complaint. It was an accusation. Several months before this incident, the Society for the Protection of Nature had sounded the alarm about Israel's tax policies, asserting that they had contributed to the pollution of the Alexander River, which is among the nation's ecologically significant water bodies. The Society, in a statement, pointed out that contaminated runoff from slaughterhouses and other industries had caused the river to turn red, a sight witnessed amid Passover. The gravity of this issue was exacerbated by the simultaneous global battle against the coronavirus pandemic, underscoring the vital importance of nature to mental well-being. In light of these developments, campaign groups urged the nation's leaders to recognize the essential role that nature plays in maintaining mental health and to take swift action to address the pollution of the Alexander River. Now, it's time for today's subscriber pick. It's time for today's topic. Beneath the unrelenting sun, as the parched expanse of the Dead Sea stretched out before us, a peculiar spectacle unfolded. Emerging from the desiccated sinkholes, strange figures bathed in a weird glow appeared to ascend. Were these indeed extraterrestrial beings, or merely a mirage induced by the scorching heat? They defied terrestrial logic, with their elongated limbs and glistening skin. One of them clutched a crystalline sphere, extending a hand as if beckoning humanity towards the enigmatic. Were they messengers of salvation or omens of impending catastrophe? Whispers spread like wildfire, fueling both curiosity and dread. Conspiracy theories swirled, but science stumbled in its attempts to elucidate this otherworldly apparition. Were they a forgotten civilization, roused from the abyss? Or entities from the cosmos, seeking sanctuary in our ailing world? As the global audience watched in astonishment, the sinkholes transformed into a gateway to the inexplicable. In the realm of possibilities, only questions remained, shrouded in mystery and wonder. Let us know what you think about this mystery. Manganese in the environment and its impact on water and health. The Alexander River, which originates from the mountain aquifers and serves the entire populations of both Israel and Palestine, recently faced a resurgence of environmental contamination. A decade ago, this very river grappled with severe pollution until a collaborative endeavor between Israeli and Palestinian tourism agencies worked to rejuvenate it. Curiously, one might assume that the nearby Dead Sea would share a similar fate. However, this was not the case. Earlier hypotheses, which suggested high oxide levels or the introduction of foreign substances by human activity as the causes, proved inaccurate. The actual explanation emerged a few weeks later, disclosed by the Jordan Valley Authority, a Jordanian governmental body responsible for overseeing the region's water supply. Upon conducting extensive water tests, the results illuminated a previously unseen phenomenon. The presence of manganese in the water was identified as the root cause of the distinctive red discoloration. This discovery stands as an unprecedented revelation in the realm of environmental science. Manganese is a natural element found in the Earth's environment. It is commonly present in soil, air, and water. Additionally, it is also a component of the food we consume. However, scientists have suggested that an excessive concentration of manganese can alter the color of water, giving it a reddish hue, similar to what occurs with iron. A geological survey conducted in the United States has highlighted that both iron and manganese can lead to stains on plumbing fixtures or laundry. The enigmatic origins of high manganese levels in the Dead Sea. There is still much uncertainty surrounding the exceptionally elevated manganese content found in the Dead Sea. While historical accounts dating back to biblical times have alluded to the uniqueness of this region, modern scientific discoveries did not emerge until the 19th century. During biblical times, various sects of Jews inhabited caves near the sea, notably the Essenes, who left behind the remarkable Dead Sea Scrolls in the caves of Qumran. Additionally, the legendary cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, as chronicled in the Book of Genesis, are believed to have existed along the southeastern shores of the sea. Adjacent to the sea, there lies a nature reserve known as Ein Gedi, a place of biblical significance where King David is said to have sought refuge from Saul. The ancient history of the sea profoundly influenced the cultures of the Middle East and Mediterranean, with groups like the Nabateans exploiting its natural asphalt deposits and possibly engaging in trade with the Egyptians. The Romans, too, referred to it as Palus Asphaltitis, which translates to asphalt lake. In ancient times, one of the most significant events in the history of the sea was when a small group of Jewish zealots sought refuge at the fortress of Masada. King Herod the Great had constructed this fortress on a hill overlooking the sea. The Jewish zealots arrived there following the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD. Regrettably, their respite was short-lived. In 73 AD, they found themselves besieged at the fortress by the Roman X-Legion. Instead of surrendering, they made a collective decision to take their own lives through mass suicide. This moment at Masada stands as a pivotal event in the annals of Dead Sea history. Historical arrival of Greek Orthodox monks and early explorations of the Dead Sea. During the Byzantine period, Greek Orthodox monks ventured into this region seeking refuge. They erected several monasteries near the sea, with the St. George Monastery being one of them. However, these events transpired in the distant past and have been preserved primarily through historical records. Until the 19th century, the sea remained an enigmatic and uncharted territory for the developing world, although it was referenced in the Bible. Nonetheless, a few intrepid explorers embarked on a journey to uncover its mysteries. The first documented modern explorer of the sea was Christopher Costigan, a young Irishman with a fervent interest in the Holy Land, cultivated during his studies for the Catholic priesthood. His exploration began in 1835, devoid of navigational maps to aid him in navigating the Jordan River and the Dead Sea, which had seen little exploration since the Middle Ages. Unfortunately, Costigan's expedition was rather short-lived, spanning only 8 days. The abrupt conclusion stemmed from a lack of fresh water and a paucity of winds for sailing. Faced with no alternative, Costigan resorted to boiling and consuming the brackish water from the sea. During his expedition, he fell severely ill, likely due to severe dehydration resulting from the harsh conditions of the desolate landscape. His assistant was compelled to leave him stranded on the northern shore of the Dead Sea while seeking assistance. Ultimately, he reached a nearby Greek Orthodox monastery, where he sought aid for Costigan. A mule was dispatched to transport him to Jerusalem for medical attention. Tragically, upon arrival in Jerusalem, Costigan was pronounced dead. He was later interred on Mount Zion, marking the end of his pioneering exploration. Implications of complete drying of the Dead Sea. The repercussions of the Dead Sea drying up would be profound. The ecosystem in the surrounding area, including its plant and animal life, as well as the local communities that rely on the sea for their livelihoods, would experience severe harm. The high salt concentration of the Dead Sea supports the existence of various bacteria, algae, and salt-tolerant plants that cannot thrive in typical freshwater environments. If the sea were to completely dry up, these species would likely face extinction as they lose their habitats and populations. This scenario underscores the critical importance of preserving the delicate balance of the sea's ecosystem and addressing the factors contributing to its decline. The sea also serves as a crucial resource for the communities in its vicinity, supporting various essential functions such as irrigation and more. If this sea were to completely evaporate, it would lead to adverse consequences for both the local economy and the inhabitants, resulting in a significant loss of revenue. Additionally, the potential disappearance of the Dead Sea would have far-reaching ecological implications. Given the current practices of disposing of pollutants and chemicals in its waters, there is a substantial risk of these substances being released into the surrounding ecosystem if the sea were to vanish. This would undoubtedly have a profound and detrimental impact on the environment, the nearby populations, and the unique ecology that has evolved around it over time. What do you believe is the primary cause of the Dead Sea's rapid decline? Share your opinion in the comments below.